I'd like to introduce you to Debora Cooley, Certified Legal Nurse Consultant. Thank you, Debora, so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. And like I was saying in my letter, there's not enough accolades of thanksgiving to you and your staff, and for the wonderful program that you devised for nurses to help us progress in our career, especially in our older years. This is perfect for that too, because our experience is priceless for these attorneys.
Yes, it is.
So
I'm always humbled by the experience that the registered nurses bring into the legal nurse consulting industry. Thank
and
you.
there's so much experience out there, and I'm just proud to be a part of it. Really, really proud to be a part of your process. It was great.
Thank you. Debora, I know you use your certification to review medical records for medical necessity. So a little bit different than working directly with law firms, either plaintiff or defense on actual litigated cases. So can you talk about that just real briefly, how your CLNC credential has really contributed to your role in assessing records for medical necessity?
Sure. What I basically do is review records that have been appealed twice or sometimes even 3 times, and they fail to meet whatever the denial is, whatever they trump up, whatever the insurance companies trump up not to pay. Usually I get the chart after the second or third denial, which makes it even more difficult to get approval on these cases.
So you get the really juicy cases.
Yes. And the most difficult, like readmissions, are very difficult.
So Debora, what motivated you to become a certified legal nurse consultant?
Well, back in 1989, I was the nurse taking care of a patient in the emergency room, 3 years old, excuse me. She was raped. Her mother was involved in it, as well as the mother's boyfriend. She was brutally raped where her intestines were perforated. She had a skull fracture, and I wound up having to go to trial and represent this case. And they both wound up being found guilty and sentenced to life for this. The thing is that what made me interested in this case was that I had the absolute feeling of despair, knowing that the defense attorney was trying to get rid of this rape case. And it didn't matter what the cost was to the nurse or anybody else involved. He just wanted to get rid of this rape case, get rid of the rape case, boom, move on. They're found not guilty, and it's all happy. And it wasn't. It was a grueling 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I didn't let that attorney get away with anything. It got to the point where they were trying to get rid of the rape evidence. And I had to explain every little thing that was in that case, in that kit, and that there was no breaking up of the evidence, that it was all contained in one little bag. Well, unfortunately, that girl's clothes were so bloodied that it had to be separated, because if you didn't separate the evidence, it would contaminate everything that was in the rape case. So he was trying really hard to really disqualify that rape kit. So we had it in 2 separate bags, and that wasn't my decision. That was the doctor's decision, the rape advocate's decision, the police, and myself. We all concurred that the best way to do it was to put it in 2 brown paper bags and put it with 1 evidence seal. Well, they tried getting rid of the rape case kit, and it didn't fly with the judge. And so I wanted to explain why we did what we did, that it was a collaborative decision. The attorney tried making it my decision, and what a fool I was. And so I said to the judge, I turned around and I said, Your Honor, it is absolutely imperative that I state why we did what we did. And the attorney was what I'm telling you, he was rip-roaring angry because he was trying to stop me at every, I just said yes or no, answer the question yes or no. And I had to stop it because I knew what he was trying to get at. So ever since then, I, I wanted justice. And then after that, working in the emergency room, years down in Florida, the depositions, one after the other, I'd get through those depositions because I just got the gist of it. And so, and then lo and behold, I'm doing some research and I found your course, which, like I said, it's just a ton of accolades to you because you prepared us well.
Thank you.
You got us out in that workforce. You tried to give us the best direction you possibly can. And I am telling you, when I sent out letters and I put myself on work engines, Indeed, Monster, just multiple work engines, and lo and behold, I got hired from Indeed, from a group of attorneys in Ohio. I just celebrated my 5th year anniversary on October 5th.
Congratulations.
And thank you. It's been an outrageously wonderful experience. One of the cases that I worked on, because I know that that was one of your questions to us, what was one of your most memorable cases? Well, for me, it was a little child. I'm not going to get into names or anything like that. It was a little child with hemophilia. The baby built up antibodies to the medication given, the factor 9. So the doctor now had to try and bridge with another medication, factor 7. Excuse me, in this case, it was factor 7. And so, again, we were meeting resistance. And it was because he had such high titers, high antibodies towards this medication. It was just nullifying the medication. So he wound up doubling the dose. And by doubling the dose, the child was getting the effect of at least one dose, because by the time it was gobbling up one, the body was still accepting the other part of it. I'm trying to make it simple so people that are not aware of how this works, they understand it. And so now the total cost of all of this medication came to $40 million. And it's like, how do we win this? I got asked to go to sit in with the administrators from the hospital.
And
we had a teleconference.
And pardon me,
I'm
this
sorry?
is from a medical necessity perspective, right?
This, yes. And I forgot to explain that I deviate from the normal, what the normal CLNC does. But I tell you, my attorneys like that little title, though. They really do. And so, actually, as one of the benefits, they pay for it every 2 years. They make sure that I have my credential. So now going back to this case, so it wound up being $40 million, $55,000 for every dose of medication given. This child was getting medication at home as well. So we're sitting having this big powwow meeting, and this is the first time I'm ever involved in anything like this, and I'm keeping very quiet and listening to what's going on. So I just had like an epiphany. I asked a simple question at the end. Everybody was asking their final questions, and then the attorney said, "Debbie, do you have any questions?" And it was like he was expecting me to say no. And I said, "I do. I have one question." I said, "Was this child getting any maintenance doses at home?" And the answer was yes. And I said, "Okay, did the insurance company pay for this at home, the therapy at home?" Well, there was like silence. And they were doing, and you could hear paper shuffling in the back. And they came back and they said, "Well, yes, they are paid. They are paid up to date for the medication at home." I said, "So what is the dose given at home?" Well, lo and behold, it's the same dose that's given in the hospital. But because it's more expensive being given in the hospital, they felt they will come up with any excuse not to pay a high-end bill, any loophole that they could find. So I said, I said, the doctor's got to have a very, very good reason why he gave what he gave. I'm not inside the doctor's head. I can't surmise. I have my thoughts, but we need to ask the doctor specifically under what hospices was he getting his, his information to give this amount of medication. Well, I did some research and I came up with the council, the Medical and Scientific Advisory Council for the National Hemophilia. The foundation noted that Novo 7 is the only bypassing drug to give to help with people with hemophilia that's meeting resistance in children, especially. So I just left it at that, got my little information, and lo and behold, the physician sent his letter, and it was the same as what I said.
Yes.
So we won the case. Ultimately, we won this case.
Congratulations. And
well,
what
thank
I heard
you.
you say is that, first of all, you looked at his prior medical records. So you were able to show that, yes, indeed, they had paid for this medication previously. So you didn't just focus on the hospital records. That was very smart. And also, congratulations for speaking up, because that's our job, right? As certified legal nurse consultants,
Right.
basically put forward the opinions that we have that can advance the position of that attorney that you're working with. So that was a great job. Congratulations, Deborah.
Thank you. I just felt very humbled to be a part of that. And it just made the firm look so good. And that made me feel good. I feel like if I'm successful, the firm is successful.
Absolutely.
And it's like my mantra. You want to know what drives my success? My firm. And also, too, being honest to yourself. If the case is, you can't handle it for whatever reason, you have to reach out. And that's one good thing about being a part of your institute, because there's so many other people that we can subcontract to and find out information from, for people, like if I wanted to know something about psychiatric nursing, that's not really my realm. But what I do, because I'm not involved in litigation with psychiatric cases, I go by governed guidelines from CMS. So if I was in a real glitch, I know I'd be reaching out to somebody within the institute that's got psychiatric experience that could help me out. And so, as a matter of fact, I've had somebody reach out to me for OB because I was credentialed in OB, and I have done that type of work. So this just opens the doorways to many, many different avenues of work for CLNC.
We have a great community with the National Alliance of Certified Legal Nurse Consultants.
Yes.
A lot of talent within our community. So what are some of the personal traits that you would say have contributed to your success?
I am a go-getter. I am an absolute go-getter. They call me at work a bulldog because I don't let anything fly from these insurance companies. I look into everything, every single thing that I did in nursing, from ER to case management, working in interventional radiology, labor and delivery for 7 years. I do it all here in this. I do it all. So, and then yours was just like the cherry on the cake, because now I have something to do with all of this. I never forget what I've done in the past. I've never forgotten all of my cases, the very important cases that are dear to my heart, and I could relate to everything. But the most important thing with what I do and what I was trying to say is that, like I said, they call me a bulldog for a reason, because I really dig deep into everything. And I'm honest. If I cannot come up with a really good reason why we should fight this case, I state my case. This is bad because, number one, it didn't meet timely. Number two, the doctor said this and one doctor said that. That negates, it's just, there's no gelling here of good care. I'll come up, I have to state my reasons. They take it and off they go. I must be doing something right because I've been here for 5 years.
Yes, indeed. And it's great that able to use all of your past nursing experience in the job that you're doing now. And as you're suggesting, they need to hear objective opinions. That's what these attorneys need to hear. Absolutely. Deborah, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is setting a goal and obtaining that goal. If you obtain that goal, you have achieved the success. I wanted to be a registered nurse. My mom and dad died when I was 8 and 9 years old. I lived with my sister. And at that time, going to nursing school wasn't one of the biggest things that I grew up with, you be a good housewife.
Okay.
You don't need to go to school. So no, I always wanted to be a nurse, always wanted to be a nurse. That was my goal, and I attained that goal. It wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I wanted to work in the emergency room. By golly, if I didn't get a job in the ER, I was a flight nurse. Back in Flo's day, we used the Army helicopters. We were just starting out. That was the start
One of the original flight nurses.
Yes, and the Army would come and pick us up, and we'd go out to wherever we needed to go, whatever hospitals. And we didn't have cell phones, and we didn't have walkie-talkie radios that reached far. When you went to go pick that patient up, that patient was yours, and you better know your stuff. And so it was fun. It was a fun experience. But that's my definition of success.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and thanks for being part of our NACLNC community, and great success to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. It's great. I love it. And I hope I could just be encouraging to others out there. Go for it. It takes work. Go for it. If this is what you want, the doors are open. You just need to find the right door.
And we're nurses, and we can do anything, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.